And we are recording. Second podcast of today. Yeah, god damn it. Okay, well, yeah.
Don't tell them our secrets.
Well, now we've got to cut it out and start again.
Alright. Junk, is this the first podcast you've been on?
Well, yes.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Welcome Junkbot. She's the international women's mixed martial arts champion. She's also responsible for slaying the Jabberwocky and making liquid toast.
Junk, I shot JFK.
Yep.
You did? You did? I was there. I got framed for it.
Yeah, how do you think I got away with it?
Junk is also the only individual in the entire world to make Archimedes' screw funny as shit.
Junk's a fucking class act.
Thank you.
Matt Mercer faded into the background. I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Also, I believe this is the debut podcast for one Noodle P. Lasington.
Has Noodle never been on a podcast? Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Noodle Laser. I've not been on the podcast yet, I don't think. Because I haven't had time.
For anybody who's not clear, Noodle radiates massive dis-bitch energy. Because she's dis-bitch. She's the fucking person you go to and she's like, I got you, dog. I love Noodle.
Aww.
I pre-gamed before this, so let's have fun.
Ah, yes, the Red Star of Communism.
Well, speaking of communism, D&D.
Yes.
Oh my god.
D&D Beyond.
D&D Beyond.
Fuck off.
Not sponsored.
We'll never be sponsored.
We'll never be sponsored.
I mean...
I would love to be sponsored by D&D Beyond, but I know we're definitely not because I said fuck off right after you mentioned that.
This podcast is sponsored by that itch in the middle of your back. That itch in the middle of your back, you can't reach it, but you always know it's there.
I mean, I can.
Cable, you gotta stop that. You're gonna fuck with a lot of people.
I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna pepper them into this entire podcast.
You're an ass.
I know. And most people like asses.
Why does Jeremy Crawford look like he's in hell now?
Because I'm making everything slightly darker so our icons stand out a little bit more, and it doesn't make everybody's eyes bleed as much.
While you're making things darker, let's go into a dark subject that most people think is sponsored by the devil, which is D&D. We're here to talk to you guys today about what it's like to be a DM, what it's like to be a player, and just cover some random horror stories that we've had, or good stories if you guys have them too.
Yeah. I think everybody in this chat has DM'd at least once.
Yeah.
Or is currently still DMing.
Except for Louise and Junk, I don't think.
Louise has DM'd
Louise and Junk both
outside of us.
Yeah. I'm actually in one of Junk's games. It's very fun.
Yeah, it's called
Primrose.
Giant hiatus.
Giant hiatus, still fucking fun. I played a little possum named Cletus.
I mean, you can be on hiatus so long that you're not doing something based on that Togashi thing.
Speaking of fun,
that word is
that's what I DM. We're on hiatus right now.
And
No!
Okay, you jinxed it. It's over. Phantasma is never coming back.
It isn't. I've moved on. I'm gonna go to Oops All Saiyans, where we just keep doing shit until people don't want it anymore. We keep doing it.
I guess we can just introduce ourselves by who DMs games on this channel. Just to give context for anybody watching this for the first time.
And if you don't DM on this channel either, if you've got something to plug, if you've got something you want to shoot out, or
yeah,
people know about, go ahead. No, it's not just this channel exclusive.
But yeah, Cable, what do you deem here?
Oh shit, we're starting with me. Okay. I've done this for every single fucking Bugs X Bones or Digimon that we started, but you know me, I'm Cable Provider. I am DM for File Phantasma and Oops All Saiyans, which is working in File Phantasma's sort of like hiatus break while I get shit set up. In terms of DMing experience, I've done one IRL campaign and have maybe about like 5 or 6 conceptual ones that I want to do at some point in the near future. A lot of them with these people, because I've grown to like them as players and people. They're all warm and tasty like fresh bread, and I love them.
Aww.
Oh,
Fucking gay, bro.
That's pretty fucking gay,
Thank you.
Cable.
That's fine. Listen, I'm not gay, but I appreciate the culture.
Speaking of really fucking gay, Jack.
Hi. Everyone knows me at this point. I'm Blackjack K9, and I am the DM for Digimon Knighthood, which is my first ever DM experience. And my god, was it stressful at the beginning, and now it's like, eh.
How does it feel to know you knocked it out of the park on your first try?
Oh, hush up. That's not true.
I'll slap you.
It's only downhill from here.
I don't know if we're editing
And I
this
hope to do
podcast,
more in the future.
but if we are, editor, put in a video of me slapping Jack. It's probably going to be me who edits this if we do it. Cable, put in a picture of you slapping Jack, and if you don't do that, then I'm going to keep drinking to punish you.
You're gonna keep drinking anyways, Cable. Let's not kid ourselves.
I haven't stopped. I'm working on number 4 right now.
Jesus, you need to slow down a bit, dude.
I have a bottle of water I've been looking at.
Cable, stop drinking. Do normal things to prepare for these podcasts, like sniff Clorox, like normal people.
Sniff
I couldn't even
Clorox.
say the word.
I couldn't because I'm
Clorox?
currently
Sound like
high
you're
on
gonna say
Clorox.
cold.
I thought you wanted to sniff coral, but no. I apologize. I just detracted from Jack. Jack, I really did not mean to do that. I love everything you do in Digimon Knighthood, and I want you to know that.
That's good.
I'm also the kind of person that's planning for many other games. So, I have a problem.
Yeah. Or I guess it's me. I DM Bugs X Bones. I've DM'd quite a few campaigns. I think 3 so far, technically.
Currently 3.
Yeah, currently 3. And I have been playing D&D for... Fuck, when did the Unexpectables first come out?
like
Fucking
2017.
3 years ago or some shit like that.
Yeah, I've been
4.
playing D&D for about 3 years. I got into it because my favorite YouTube person, Takahai, was like, whoa, I'm doing a D&D campaign with other cool people online that I also knew.
You know,
And I was like, this D&D stuff sounds fun. I never got to play D&D in high school because my friends thought it was the bottom of the barrel of nerddom. But I'm glad that I get to play D&D now. I'm sad I wasn't a theater kid in high school, as cursed as that sounds. But at least I can live vicariously through fun, weird fantasy bullshit. Nooble.
Hi, I'm Noodle I'm a player in practically every campaign except Digimon, and I am the DM for Onryo, which is my first DMing experience. Only 1 episode so far. Absolutely terrifying how that session went. That was, I had to think on my toes. And yeah, it was cool.
Welcome to DMdom.
listen, as one of your players, Noodle, I'll adamantly say, you got a DMing style and a vibe that's really fun. I enjoy the world and the thought you put into it, and I look forward to more Onryo.
Thank fucking God.
You're a goddamn special DM.
Oh, I've got some stupid bullshit planned.
Bring it.
Okay. Cheeb.
Hello. Hi, I'm Chibi Wisdom, and normally I would just mention how I do nothing but art for this channel at this point. And you see me as a player. You've only seen me as a player so far, but that might change soon-ish, maybe. Who knows? But in reality, I've been in D&D for about 6 years now, and been a forever DM for 5 of those 6 years. Only very recently actually being a player. It's kind of liberating. Don't worry, I'm going to put those shackles back on willingly. And depending on when this comes out, there might be something that gets promoted soon. So I think I'm free to talk about it now. I will be DMing a Pokemon campaign, specifically Mystery Dungeon. And that's all I will say about that.
Very cool. Luis, who is inexplicably larger than everybody at the current moment.
Luis. I've DM'd before, not for the channel, but I am the one that makes some of the music for this. I did DM for a group of people in real life, like actual people in a room. Oh boy, the amount of things that go behind the closed doors, it's crazy. Yeah. But I enjoy being a player more than anything. DM is, we'll talk about it.
Also, in the event they pop in, I just told Dan what we're doing. If he wakes up and shows up, I told him to jump in randomly, so he might show up.
Because he is another DM here.
I'll just put him on the side because there's no more room at the table. That or Luis's head, one of the two.
Yeah.
I'll draw a crude MS Paint drawing of Dan to put in the side. Hold on.
I mean, we can keep talking while you're doing that.
I mean, it wasn't me.
No.
It was Louise, and I don't know if Louise is still going.
No.
Okay, last but not least, Junkington.
Hi, I'm Junkbot. I have done, I think, nothing that has showed up on the channel before.
Bull Market hasn't been released yet.
Well, in the near future.
Oops, spoilers.
Spoilers.
I'm not a player on any games here. I'm not a GM on any games here. But I will be showing up on as several guests apparently. I DM'd a long-running game with Batty and just Batty and other friends called Primrose. It was very fun. It's like a big open sandbox thing. I have a lot of experience with like sandbox and lore shit, so that's sort of my wheelhouse. But yeah.
Junk, I just want to say, as probably the only person who's been a player under Junk, she puts a lot of fucking effort into the art and lore of her campaigns, and does a lot of background studying into like botany and fucking culture and civilizations and all this like random bullshit that like I'm very fucking impressed with. Junk, I'm gonna put you on blast for a second. I really fucking love Primrose.
Aww.
And if you ever say anything bad about your DMing style, I will shank you 70 times in your most vital kidney.
Okay, I will say one bad thing about my... And I'm anticipating the stabbing. I will say one bad thing about my DMing style is that when you have like an open world sandbox game that's lore heavy and that lore ties itself into the gameplay of the game, developing shit for that game takes like 7 years.
Understandable.
Yeah. I don't know if I can say it, Junk, but I actually assisted you in creating something, didn't I? Don't know if they've gotten to that point yet.
No,
I can kind of get that, but for me, it's a bit. That's why it's a bit easier when we're doing these anime D&D campaign things, because there's already an established lore, an established universe. You're just playing with concepts that already exist.
Oh, 100%. Like, credit to you, Junk, from like fleshing stuff out from the ground up. That shit's hard. And
yeah.
The first thing I actually ever ran was like created from the ground up, and that was one of the most difficult things to maintain. Nor did I really understand like how I could make that work. Hey, Dan's here. Hi, Dan.
Hey, Dan.
There he is.
No, Dan's not here. He's
Not
here
here yet.
He's
But-
here in spirit.
That's
No,
good.
like nothing but respect, Junk, for the work that you do put into it. I've personally never gotten to see how your DM style works out in games, but from what I've heard, you have some skills that would meet the requirements of paying bills.
Oh, fuck. I forgot to mention while in my little introduction thing, I am sort of planning on working like a little quick one-shot just to get back in the swing of like actually DMing shit because I've been on hiatus for so long.
Mhm.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I don't know if I'll stream it, but I definitely want to share it with these guys.
That would be cool.
Oh yeah.
Now that you actually bring up Junk, that's like an interesting topic to start with. As a DM, what would you say is your greatest weakness, like personally?
Time.
Time.
I mean, yeah, but that's a boring answer, I think.
I mean, it's a good problem to have, Junk, if that's
It
like your
is.
biggest DMing problem.
My greatest weakness. Fuck. If somebody else has something they can bring up while I think about this, that would be great.
I got a couple things.
I mean, to expand on time, it's poor time management.
Yeah.
Because of
I
like
personally-
weird brain chemistry shit, mostly. It's like some days you'll be, I can do this today. I'm gonna make sure I get this done and this and this, and then there's other days it's like, oh,
So
I want to lay in bed.
yeah. I can't say for everyone, but I used to do a bunch of like sandbox games as well. Like that was my shtick. Is I would make I made a giant active world with a whole bunch of lore and characters and boss monsters and everything. That I think the greatest weakness that came from that was there was so much, and I would get really sad and upset when my players just ignored all of it in exchange for like staying in like the starting town and really doing nothing.
Yeah, that's actually something I'm trying to work on with my game, is that, like, I'm developing a lot of lore shit, but I'm, again, trying to interlink the lore with, like, actual gameplay mechanics.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of lore I made about, like, this one civilization that comes up, and, like, I developed a whole bunch about, like, their cultural beliefs, and then I turned those cultural beliefs into their magic system, and that magic system the players can take and use for spellcrafting.
Yeah.
So I think one of the biggest takeaways with like lore shit is that if you got lore, make like a big monster out of it. Make something your players can actually like touch and interact with, or make that lore sort of central to politics or other elements of the world that is relevant to the players, and they can like touch it and interact with it and do shit with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Noodle, did you have a point you wanted to say?
Not necessarily. I was just wondering, not that I've ever experienced this myself, but if anyone has had any kind of like D&D horror stories of like really bad times.
Yes.
We're gonna circle down to horror stories in a little
that-
bit.
That is
Yeah.
gonna have to wait for later in the podcast because I think we're gonna all go off on that.
Oh
my
god,
I got
yeah.
some tangents I'll take y'all down on. But
I got plenty of tangents.
Going off of DM weaknesses, I would say kind of akin to that, like, and this is just kind of a complex I have because it's more something I admire very adamantly about what you do with Bugs X Bones, Batty.
Yeah,
And I know you probably already know what I'm going to say.
I do because we talk about this often.
I am always super insecure about the fact that Final Phantasma has no world building whatsoever. To the fact that it feels like the world feels very like empty, and it's like I'm always funneling you guys from point A to point B, and that there's not a lot for you guys to be able to do. And I really wish I could expand or do as much as you do with world building, Batty, because I love it so much when I get to play Tonbo in that world, and I just want to give that much of like an equal experience back to you all.
I understand that, Cable, and we do have this conversation a lot. I always rebuttal that I understand the need for world building in some situations, I still like Final Phantasma regardless, because with Final Phantasma, and this is like another thing too, because not all D&D games are the same. Final Phantasma does like a lot of good things right with like the, I guess like mechanically, as far as like the fighting system goes, and also it's very heavily character driven, and that's like the main reason why I personally enjoy always coming back as Naoki in that. If I'm gonna be real with you, my biggest weakness, at least one of them, would probably be I am notoriously bad about this, and a lot of people probably don't notice because I do tend to lean more towards open world type games. I am notoriously bad about improving shit. Like, improv is good in D&D. There'll be times where I have to make up something on the fly because I didn't plan on it. Because, like, open world systems are good and all, but if you don't have shit planned out, and your players decide to make a left and you don't have anything planned out for that, that could potentially get you into a sticky situation.
Yeah.
Now, the counterpoint is, if you're gonna do an open world system, while it is good to have things planned out, you're not gonna be able to plan for everything, and at least getting a little good at improv is good. I always think back to, and Jack's gonna be the only person who knows about this. I had a campaign called B-Side Kickmasters that revolved around monks. Jack, do you remember the episode with the fox dragon lady and the kobolds?
Yes.
That was completely improv. I think I've told you this before. That was a scenario that I completely made up on the fly because I did not expect you guys to get to the city by that episode. And I have a question. Did you enjoy that episode?
To be honest, you could have fucking fooled me.
Okay, good. I barely sneak away with my reputation intact once again.
What reputation?
My very bad reputation by Joan Jett. But anyways, it's a good skill to know how to improv well. Don't do it for everything. I've fucked myself over and I've had bad sessions because of it.
Yeah, I've done that way too many times, and I regret that horribly.
Yeah.
To elaborate on improv stuff, this is something I also learned from Primrose, because as much as you can flesh out a sandbox, Primrose kind of also wasn't very fleshed out at the beginning, so I ran into that issue a lot.
Yeah.
Which initially I tried to solve by planning everything out, which no, don't do that.
No.
But another thing you can do, and what I'm going to try to do later on with Primrose when I run it again, is like prep for improv, where like have random tables for stuff. If your players make a left when you anticipated a right, have something in your back pocket to just sort of have like a little bit of a backbone while improving. So you could say like, I don't know, bandits show up or something. It's hard to improv shit. Like, that's the thing. If you can plunk a NPC in front of your characters and sort of improv dialogue because, like, you're a human being.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to improv, like, the contents of, like, an ancient temple.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, that shit can get so rough, especially if you don't plan for something to happen too. It's like,
yeah.
I will say, as almost like a weird counter to that, this is technically going on to a slight story here. You can actually improv your way into absolute success, even with the most odd, mundane things. like players going into a ancient temple, and then you just like haphazardly, accidentally mentioning that, oh yeah, there's like gears and like pipes and stuff like that, and then your brain can immediately go, oh, there's something deeper here.
Yeah.
I love those moments of you've just bullshitted something and then it's like, oh no, hold on a second.
Hold
So,
on.
yeah.
I love that.
I don't want to like cut off the whole DM like the first point we were on, but I do have a story related to that, but I
Okay.
can hold on to it until until we've gone through the whole list of people.
Did anybody else have any weaknesses of their own that they wanted to share?
I would say that my biggest weakness in DMing is actually planning and world building. Because, how to even say it? It's a weird thing where I just do like bullet points and don't have like big things. Like I have like the things I want to go through, but it's like in broad strokes. And I almost always have like I improvise like more than half of the session. It's weird because
Man, that's a talent, dude. That's how I do it.
Yeah, no, bullet points
Yeah.
is, I think, is the way to go.
Yeah.
Because
but either way, my world building is crap because I forget my own stuff very easily.
So do I. It's not just you, don't worry.
it's a problem that it is convenient that I do all the recordings of Bugs X Bones. Because like for our Strahd game junk and Jack, I actually have to take notes with that. But with Bugs X Bones, I can just go back and rewatch sessions if I forget everything. It's not going to be the same with everybody. And there's a point I want to hit home with what you're saying, Luis. Overly improving can be a problem, but and we touched on this a little bit earlier. Planning too much can be equally as big of a problem.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
You get too rigid by the things that you've set, and that's when you can run into the problem of railroading players into something because
Oh,
it's like-
I still railroad real hard.
Railroading has its place, but like, yeah, it really is circumstantial.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To elaborate on what like Luis was talking about, since he helped me better develop my thoughts, when your players make a left when you anticipate a right, having like just bullet points of whatever the shit in your back pocket is a lot better than just making something on the spot. That can give you way better skeleton to work with and flesh out as you're going.
Mhm.
I can't say this enough. Random event tables will save your life.
Mm-hmm.
It
Either
doesn't even have to be random. It just can be bullet points or whatever the fuck.
yeah.
You can have even the most nonsensical of bullet points as a backup. It's like if you intended the players to go right and they go left, well, you can just have like on your sheet like just a just in case, just something stupid like they encounter a deer where their antlers are hands. Something weird.
Yeah, you can plop, like I said, you can plop an NPC in front of them that's like a shard skeleton with a knife in his back that'll sell you magical items.
So
maybe he'll lead the players back onto the correct track, or maybe he'll give them a little extra side quest or something. Who knows?
to go into the story because I don't want to forget it.
Story time.
Batty and Noodle, I'm gonna tell you a little secret about something that you may not have known because I don't think I've told you this.
Yeah.
Oh,
I never planned for Sheena.
oh,
Oh.
no! Wait, you did tell us this.
Yeah.
I made Sheena up on the spot mid-session.
What?
I just
I thought. Okay, so you had us fight a ghost. Was that
That was-
encounter not supposed to happen?
That encounter was supposed to happen, but it was just supposed to be you fighting off of Kuchisaki Onna. I made Sheena mid-session and I was writing shit down as we were doing it, so that way I could build Sheena's character before the thing was done.
Is this because we refuse to actually get rid of her?
No, because I wanted to give it more substance as you guys were going, and I didn't have the idea until we were doing it. And I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna change this on the fly. You guys were just supposed to purify Sheena and send her off to the afterlife, and she wasn't supposed to come back. But I figured, why the fuck not? So, in the middle of episode 2, if there's ever any long pauses of me doing something, that's me making Sheena's character in that exact moment. That is when I first made Sheena.
I just want to preface that for anybody who doesn't watch Final Phantasma, Sheena is like one of the most beloved NPCs.
Best girl.
I
Best
wish
girl.
Dan was here so I could have told him that, because I don't think he knows too. But Sheena was never intended. Original Final Phantasma was supposed to have Botan in Sheena's role. But I figured I would just replace Botan and put Sheena there.
That's how it always
Wow.
goes. The best
Yeah.
NPCs are the one you make up on the spot.
Yeah.
It's true.
Oh god, coming on the spot NPCs. Can we just talk about that for a moment? Because
Let's
Yeah.
go over
I-
favorite. You know what? Let's go over favorite on the spot NPCs that we all have.
Oh my god. I'm gonna
Oh,
have to
God.
think.
I know exactly which one I'm thinking of right now. If I can talk about this real quick.
Go for it.
So this actually happened recently, like last year. I was doing a campaign with some people who, unfortunately, I am no longer friends with. But they went to a temple. They were hired to go to a temple as to clear it out for a bunch of excavators. They found a bunch of like magical artifacts, or at least what they thought was magical artifacts. They came up topside, and then they met this this man who was a wizard who specialized in geomancy. And he was absolutely crazy, who was obsessed with rocks, and how he identified objects was by putting them in his mouth and then like mulling them over, and then he would spit them out like onto the ground or in their hands, and then vaguely tell them what they did. And then I think at one point, one of the players just put on the magic item right then and there, which made a bunch of like the expedition team disappear. To which then the geomancer wizard said, "It's a ring that makes donkeys invisible." None of the players ever understood what he was talking about until they went outside, and like again, almost all of the entire expedition team was gone, including all of the animals. So literally, it was a ring that made the donkeys disappear. The players thought that it just made everyone invisible. No, they just disappeared from existence.
Oh.
That's fucking great.
That's
That-
funny.
I originally, it was just supposed to be like some like druid guy who was gonna be there, and then he was just gonna tell them like, this is an item that does X thing. I was like, that's boring. What if I just made him eat objects to identify them? And then that's where that went from there.
That's fucking perfect, GB.
The shiniest of rocks are the best.
The shiniest of rocks.
I love the grit.
Who else has got a
Crazy
crazy
ones.
story? Let's just put all our cards on the table. Who's got somebody they made on the fly that they fucking love?
I
Fucking-
Although I've got
I've got-
one person, but they
Go-
weren't like.
We'll go
Let's go in
Jack
order.
Eagle. Oh, we
Go
can, yeah, we
Jack
can go
Eagle.
order. Yeah, of course.
They weren't so much as like suddenly on the spot, but it was like the night before something I had to do. Because he was just so fucking last minute. It was like Blood Myotismon.
I knew it. I knew you didn't plan for him. I knew you didn't plan for him. He's an idiot, and I love him.
I even have Kobold to back me up because I had to plead with him to enter a private call with me just so he could keep me awake while I finished the drawing. It's like, I have to finish this. I need to finish this.
Clap, clap, motherfucking clap, Jack.
That castle can't just appear for no reason.
So, for context, Blood Myotismon is a Digimon character who is a pompous asshole who's really strong but refuses to do anything because he can't be
Fucking
bothered.
prima donna. He's a prima donna and a post Madonna. He's just Madonna.
Yeah, he's Madonna.
Blood Meiotis one, Jesus fucking Christ.
But you know what the thing is? He's now very tied into story, and I can't tell you why.
We'll
Oh,
find out.
goody.
I'm looking forward to seeing this through Digimon. But I had a feeling you were gonna say Blood Meiotis Mon, dude. I knew you were gonna bring him up. But Noodle, who you got?
You know damn well who I've got,
Is it
Cable.
the one we were talking about before?
Which one?
The demon who just had a fucking weird existential crisis with Coral.
Yeah. Basically, for those of you who are unaware, I'm running what is essentially a Demon Slayer campaign, and I put them through final selection in the most realistic way I could think of, except it wasn't.
It was comedy. Pure comedy.
What ended up happening was some of my players just decimated their opponents. Some of my players just happened to blue ball their opponents. Just saying. That's kind of what happened.
We had a marital dispute, him and Coral.
They had a fucking domestic dispute in the middle of the final selection. And initially, I just sort of kind of ran with it because I was like, yo, this would be fun if I did just be silly with this energy. So what ended up happening was Cable, the way it went was you rolled evens, there was no encounter. You rolled odds, there was an encounter. Cable ran twice in a row with an encounter, so I was like, fuck it, he's coming back. So the next day he faced off against the same opponent, and I made it seem like he was trying to change, like, oh, come on, baby, I can change.
No, we're not going through this again.
Oh, it's funny.
He's got
Fucking great.
the old beatbox. He's like outside Coral's window, except there are no windows and no beatboxes because it's the Touch Show era.
I think you mean a boombox. A beatbox is if you came outside my window like, hey, baby!
Listen,
That's how they did it before they had boot boxes.
You know what? I'd be fine with that. Like, they showed you how to scratch it in the olden times.
Instead of holding up like a boot box, you just have your friend who beatboxes with you.
I'm not about to do that because I learned
Cable-
that Thanos beat.
Cable, don't make me put Samurai Champloo into Unreal. I can
Noodle.
do that.
Yo,
Noodle,
sharp like the edge of a samurai sword, dog. Bring that shit in here. I'll fight Mugen.
Noodle, I'm now imagining like Zenitsu like outside of like a window just being like, I ain't never gonna stop loving you, bitch.
No!
Stop loving you, kid. Do the shit.
But yeah, I have
I
a.
love that encounter. Great. Sorry, Betty.
Oh yeah, you're fine. Was that the end of your story, Noodle? Noodle?
Wait, sorry,
Yeah, was that the end of your story?
yes, it was.
Okay, just making sure. So, as you can assume, there's probably a lot of Bugs X Bones characters that were improv'd.
You don't say.
A lot of them are like minor characters that like were either in like the Heaven's Arena arc or the Lullaby for Lily arc, to where like I want to preface that everybody in Indocore except Neelam was completely improv'd. That includes Dr. Trick, who then went on to become Terrence.
Man,
Oh
fuck
my
Terrence.
god.
Terrence technically was an improv character, and I kind of love him on the basis that I don't think I've made a NPC as hated as Terrence.
Oh god, I wish Dan was here to hear that. Dan would probably, to give you context, Dan would probably go, "Fuck you, Batty."
Yeah.
Listen, Batty,
Problem.
I don't say this often, but Terrence is a character that I would happily shove into a public urinal.
And you know what? I completely get it. I fucking hate Terrence too. It
You
just
can't do that, Batty. I mean, Noodle. Terrence likes to eat shit, specifically if it's Neelam.
Yeah, but see, this is a public urinal, which means everyone else's assholes.
It's the filthy commoners.
I guess this is all I deserve.
Usually, if you encounter a storekeep or a secretary or just any random person with a job, they're probably going to be a randomly made NPC. There is one that I want to bring up because he kind of is a fan favorite Bugs X Bones character. So, Grass. All I had for Grass going into the first session, like a lot of the characters, was just his token art. Which... This is basically what I had to go off for a personality. And now you guys know why his catchphrase is, "My name's Grass."
That's all you
I eventually realized that, okay, one, Cable's going to fall in love with this character because of his design. And two, I should just keep this shtick running and make him weirder and weirder. So, stuff like his nin ability was thought of on the spot. Stuff like his weird tongue was thought of on the spot. The only thing I had was his face and his name. That was the only thing. But yeah.
And then you shot him in the chest.
And then I'm like, oh good, Cable's attached to him now. I can hurt him. We'll talk about DM sadism in a little bit. Let's move on.
Oh yeah, that's a
Chibi.
topic to itself. That is.
I've got plenty of that planned already.
I've already talked about the Geomancer man.
That's right.
Yeah, Luis, do you have a character?
I do have a character.
Ooh.
It's from one of my original campaign that I was running. I forgot. I 100 forgot to give them like the figure that you do to get the missions or their /boss. And I had to improvise, and the first thing that came to mind, because it was the first thing, like I was watching it at the time, was Irina Pildenton. For those that don't know, that's JoJo.
Oh, Irina. Oh, you son of a...
You JoJo players.
And the problem is, my players got wind of it, and the joke started being that every single NPC they were like in the military because there was an attack and they got recruited by force. Every single one of their bosses was just named after a JoJo character.
Wait, are you saying I was
and now you wonder why the hell I have this icon.
Was that a JoJo?
You're welcome, by the way, Luis.
And fast forward, like she was just an NPC to take, like she was like a big cleric, because the military order was run by the church. And turns out that I planned for the main base to get like attacked by demons and stuff, because the main thing was fighting demons. The thing is, I started her out. I gave her spells. I didn't read what spells she had. I just added the spells because, oh, this looks cool. This looks cool.
You made her broken by accident, didn't you?
Yeah. The thing is, they got in. They all dispersed. They get in the base with her, like along with her, because they found her. And suddenly she's like, "Oh, that's the fake big fuck off bad guy in the middle. What about I just dimension door the hell out of him?"
Yay.
it was like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, Big Bad gone because she had a stupid disease.
I
She,
completely understand because the first ever NPC I made for Unreal was intended to be stupid broken. He's support only, but the things he can do is disgusting.
yeah, but I broke my own encounter
You shot yourself in the foot.
by a random NPC I came up with on the spot because I forgot to make a boss, like their boss.
That's how it be sometimes.
Yeah. That it ended up being one of my favorite NPCs still because it was I like used her for several cool stuff, but I never put her in combat again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The-
There are other stories about that group, good things and bad things, but
Yeah. I genuinely don't remember what NPCs were improv on the spot for Primrose. Batty, name an NPC you remember, and I'll see if it was improv.
I was about to go with Cletus's family, but I gave you the lowdown on Cletus's family, so technically...
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
I wrote out all their names beforehand.
Oh my god, So, Junk, you know I'm bad with names, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying this as somebody who loves your NPCs. Who is the cute-ass little dragon that likes nature and stuff?
Orchid?
What's his name?
Orchid?
I fucking love Orchard. He's so cute.
Aw, Orchard.
Orchid, fuck.
Orchid.
No, Orchid was planned. You could tell because I already had
That's
already
right, you had
him.
the map. What about, the druid that's friends with Orchid?
Also planned.
Okay. I'm trying to remember any other NPCs.
I am too.
Tostito.
Yeah.
No, I cooked him in the microwave.
I think a lot of the thing with promos, a lot of it is exploration. So
Yeah, there's honestly not that many NPCs in Primrose.
there was the bunny mare. Oh, Miguel.
Miguel was planned.
Okay, I fucking love Miguel and his family. Oh my
Oh,
god.
I'm Junk and I'm so on top of it, and I make lovable NPCs because I'm
Yeah,
a
apparently,
Oh.
like, Junk's just on this shit, apparently.
Oh my god.
Oh, my name's Junk and I have omnipotence.
Yeah, I can't think of any other PCs. I love Miguel though. Miguel's basically a tavern / inn owner that has a whole slew of kids because he's a bunny person, and
Yeah.
his whole thing with Cletus was Cletus would do obnoxious Cletus things because he's kind of stupid and weird. But he Miguel's so fucking dead inside, and because he has so many fucking kids.
I wouldn't say dead inside.
He's not dead inside, but he's used to this shit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Aw.
I like
Yeah.
Miguel. But
Can you make an NPC just called Starburst, and it's just a small starfish that explodes?
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
what do you guys want to talk about next?
Real quick, because I want to go over this real fast, because I can go over Final Phantasma 1 to Ashina, but here's a fun one for Oops All Saiyans.
Ooh.
Can you guys guess which NPC I didn't plan, but I worked on mid-session?
Szechuan?
Yes, indeed, Chibi. It was Szechuan.
Szechuan.
I didn't plan to make
Yeah,
Szechuan as
Szechuan.
fucking director, weird as he is, but Szechuan wasn't not planned.
I know you had the idea for the bird, the bird people, and how they all coincidentally all lost arms because you had the one token art for them.
I didn't want to draw more art, so I was like, fuck it. This is just a rite of passage for becoming a bird knight. You sacrifice your arm because they misheard the information. But Szechuan wasn't planned, and I didn't know what the fuck to do afterwards because part of the thing with the bird knights is I didn't plan their names ahead of time either. I was making names up on the spot. I literally pulled up a deli menu and was just looking at different meats to call them as we were going through shit. I was like, fuck it. We got Szechuan, we got fucking turkey, extra crispy, ham hock, spicy mayo. I don't know what the fuck else I said, but
The problem was that you made Szechuan messed up on the same level as the party, so the party liked him.
I think the thing with D&D that's different than other pieces of media is when you have like a random side character that serves no other purpose but to progress the story of the plot, and then like they're nameless and they get like shafted off screen like almost instantly. When you're writing, you usually don't do much else with that character if you're scripting something. But when you're D&D and you have those types of characters, and you're just fucking around with your friends, hey, maybe you do like a little improv with them. Maybe something comes in your mind, oh, hey, this would be a fun gimmick for this character. And then it goes off the deep end. I just want... Oh, fuck. I almost forgot a Bugs X Bones character that is complete improv. That's complete demonstration of this.
I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
So, Dr. Palso. Do you guys remember him?
Yes. He's the doctor that was giving y'all psychiatric advice, like Tombo and kind of you.
Yeah, he wasn't completely. So basically, when I first brought up there was a counselor, I basically made up a name on the spot and I wrote it down on a greasy napkin so I wouldn't forget it the next session. And then when Dr. Palso actually came into play, I also forgot to think of a personality for Dr. Palso. So the entire thing of him with his therapy session with Tombo, he kept like hinting at how he burned down his ex-wife's house. That entire gag was completely improv. But yeah, just like characters that really shouldn't have more to their backstories just will instantly have more to their backstories because of improv and other weird shit.
TTRPGs are beautiful because the protagonist can like laser focus on a specific person.
Yeah. The reason why Dr. Palso had the backstory that he did was
I love Dr. Palso.
Yes, this is who I'm talking about, because most of the shit with Dr. Palso was completely improv. Like, I just had his name, basically. And his whole shtick of, like, burning down his, like, ex-wife's house, that was me wanting to put levity in this situation because I thought it was getting too dark and sad with Tombo. Not that's your fault, Cable. That was just, I wanted to also make this silly. I loved that interaction.
That interaction was good. I had to get real Tombo emotions pulled out for that, but we can wait till a little later when we go over that.
Yeah. What should we talk about next?
Actually, I was going to mention very quickly. There is another NPC that I remember, who I'm going to just give them the name of Coffee Pot Amazoness Druid, because they didn't have a name. This also requires a small story in order to explain who this person is. The party had just exited a dungeon where they had acquired an entire basically like a pouch full of like shark eggs, and they were trying to find like some outpost or something to sell them to. So I had to describe very quickly as they found a like a old guard tower that had been ramshackled together into a large tower spiral city that was like creaking back and forth as the wind blowed, like super sketchy, really dangerous. They went up the tower and then they found this like really tall Amazoness like lady who very clearly was a druid, and she was drinking coffee from what could be only described as a modern thermos. The party talked to this Amazoness for a little bit, and eventually the party found out very quickly that the thermos had drugs in it. The druid was high the entire time, or on something. The party really couldn't tell. The only reason that they knew that there were narcotics in it is because the druid had offered them a cup and they accepted. So they continue while being high through this deal. They give the eggs off for like a couple coin, to which the Amazoness just straight up puts the eggs directly into the coffee and then gulps it all down in one thing, then gives the party the thermos because like they're not using it anymore, and then just jumps off the tower. They don't transform into an eagle or anything. They just jump off the tower.
It's fucking cool. Oh, they fucking leap off like Pigeon Man in that Hey Arnold episode where he dies.
Oh.
The thing that makes it even better is when the party looked over to see if they were alive or not, there was no body. They were just gone.
What the fuck?
Those are like my favorite kind of spellcasters.
The batshit insane one.
The ones where like you can strip away the mechanics of D&D and just leave your players genuinely wondering what happened.
Yeah.
You know what? That's based on that statement, Junk. That might be a good tangent for the next thing I actually wanted to bring up for different DMing things. Is I know that there is a certain thing, especially with like 5e mechanics, how DMs like to adhere to the rules of the system, but what's everybody's personal spin on approaching the rules and really like going into a game? Like, how does everybody feel about those types of things? We can go down the line if you want and start with Jack.
As if you're a player, if you can give me any bullshit reason for why you want something of yours to work, and I think it sounds good enough, fuck it, let's go with it. Like, when it comes to rules, who cares? They're not really there to keep you in line. It's there to help you progress a story in tiny ways to help. It's not like this is how it's supposed to be done, full stop. It's like, here's something you can do, or if the DM thinks of something else that might be more fun or interesting, you could do that instead. I just don't like rules lawyers, man. They annoy me.
We'll get into rules lawyers later when we talk about D&D horror stories.
Ew, gross.
So, me personally, I'm kind of conflicted because I probably use until actually I started doing Final Phantasma stuff. I was the DM that I knew that used the most homebrew. I'm very loose when it comes to DMing. I like to add a bunch of whole new mechanics into my systems, and I like to fuck with shit. That being said, sometimes I'll be spending hours trying to sat something out because I have a new idea for a fun mechanic for the game. I'll look it up online, and I'll find out it's actually a mechanic in the baseline D&D handbook, and I just didn't know about it until that moment. And it's like, the D&D rule set and any tabletop rule set should be a guideline / a common, I guess, source of knowledge for you and your players to like kind of share in a way. It's good for when you're starting out, and balance is a lot easier the closer you stick to the rulebook. That being said, depending on the kind of campaign you're running or who you're DMing for, it might be better to drift away from that as far as like making your own content or adding on to content with homebrew.
Mm-hmm.
Balancing stuff is hard, and while there's a lot of stuff I don't like about like people are very strict about following the D&D rule set to a T, there's also frustrating stuff that comes with players, and I'll get to this with D&D horror stories, with people recommending, and I say this is both as a player and DM, either trying to break the base rule to their will, or get a homebrew class that breaks the game itself.
We are edging towards D&D horror stories. We should have started with that shit and we're get out.
We're basically what we're doing. We're baiting D&D horror stories so people watch through the entire video and don't click off.
Of course.
Yeah.
We'll edge up to it and schnut by the end.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fucking nonsensical when we reach it, but Noodle, I know you've DM'd Onryo as your first thing, but first time DM, I'm interested to hear what your perspective on like approaching the rules was.
The rules exist for a reason. They provide a pretty good framework, and helps me pick and choose what I want to keep and what I say, get out of here with that shit. But otherwise, if y'all, as my players, decide I'm gonna just do something batshit insane, as long as you can back that shit up with, actual stats, I'm fine with it.
Fucking A. Cool. And not to just like reiterate or harp on this multiple times too, Noodle. I really do want to express you did a really fucking good job as your first time like DMing. Like you were exceptional at how you handled shit. Like I hit from how I first did Final Phantasma, you blew everything I did out of the fucking water. Like,
well, that's because I've been watching all y'all do it. I've been picking things up.
Yeah, but watching can only do so much. There's got to be like a natural, like you have a natural feel for shit.
That's how I learn things, is watching.
Well, not to like just kind of go on this for multiple things, but I really do want to express like I don't just tell you did a good job just because you're like, my friend. I really do mean you did a really fucking good job with Onryo, and it was fucking impressive.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, elaborating on learning from watching, I genuinely recommend to gain your own experience as a dungeon master is to talk to other dungeon masters.
Yeah.
A lot of my experience as a dungeon master came from me like obsessively absorbing like as many interviews and like talk show videos and like podcasts about DMing as I possibly could.
Same.
I don't think I didn't really learn how to be a DM through that method, but I can agree that it's a good method. As far as like the rules are considered and how I look at it, I as far as being a DM am more narrative focused. Like the rules I ignore if I can ignore it. As far as I'm considered, the rules are there purely for combat and nothing else. Because like if my players want to do a super cool thing, like they want to do a kickflip off of like a banister, I could make them roll and fall flat on their face, or I can trust my players to use the narrative, and if they want to fall flat on their face, they can do it. But I've over the years, I've struggled. Like originally, like I used to have like rolling for almost everything. Like you wanted to jump off a banister, you had to roll for that. You wanted to make your landing, you had to roll for that. Or I had everything was rolled, and I realized that's stupid.
You learn to adapt flavor into your rules.
When to roll, you can go off on hours about that.
Yeah,
oh my god!
Not to roll. I think it just comes down to trusting your instincts, really.
So it's and also due to my personal experience with D&D, I don't like 5e. I used to like it. I don't like it anymore. To the point where that's why with Pokemon, I'm not using 5e. I'm using something completely different that I have read and I understand it. And it's, again, a more narrative-focused game. And the only time there's dice rolls is combat.
Thank you, Tabletop Unite.
Yay, thank you, Tabletop Unite. They're coming out with a 2.0. I don't know when that's coming out, but I want it.
I can hear Junk frothing at the mouth because I know when it gets to her, she's going to fucking love tearing 5e a new one.
Yeah. We have had this conversation before.
We have.
Junk, go ahead and give us the tirade of 5e. Oh,
Okay,
wait, hold on.
so
We got Louise first.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Sorry, that's not me ignoring. It's me drunk. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't have a horror story. My biggest gripe is with lawyering the rules.
Oh god.
Because I had one player that was I learned from him just to ask DMs, hey, how do you rule X?
Yeah.
And
What?
just and if a DM is confused about a rule, I just, hey, as far as I know, it's done this way, but you're the DM, call it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, don't be the person to say, oh, well, actually, it's like, just say, well...
Oh my god. We
if
can't go down
I-
this rabbit hole yet. We can't go down that just yet. We will get to the
Yeah.
horror stories and the fucking actuallys of DM. Because
Yeah.
damn it, do I have a story for that?
Do
We
you
can
have
also,
an
we can also wait for the Matt Mercer.
Oh,
I don't that one. I don't know what even to say now. I don't know if I should continue just next person. I don't know.
Just save that thought.
Yeah, save it for now.
We're gonna come back to that, Louise. And when we come back to that, spill everything you have to say on that shit.
Okay. I will go next. I will start with like the rules thing. I'm a little bit in the same boat as like Chibi, where I as a DM think about the world first, and then I want the rules to inform that. I think generally what separates TTRPGs from like just fucking improv shows or whatever is that you have that sort of backbone of the rules. So you can't just do whatever you want, and there's generally actual stakes to your decisions. And I like mechanics in certain senses. Not strictly 5e's mechanics, but I like having that sort of extra crunch to what you're doing. So yeah, I generally think mechanics should be sort of the bones of your world and your system and your storytelling, and the rest can be muscles and fat of like your DM decision making and fluff and all of that. As far as 5e, oh boy. So, 5e is designed in a really weird way, where it's simultaneously really rules heavy and really rules light. Everything that's so fucking 90% of 5e rules is combat rules, and that combat is kind of
Look at that. Don't worry.
okay.
And in greater numbers.
It's 90% combat rules, and that other 10% is just, I don't know, here's like a walking speed. Here's money. I don't know. And that's fucking 5e. There's such a little when it comes to anything outside of combat, and as a DM, you're just kind of left there, just waiting or not knowing what to do.
You remember Electrum?
Oh boy, does Jeremy Crawford over there sure does.
Dare you, Jeremiah Crofton?
guys, still using Electrum?
No.
I mean,
way.
the sad thing is, and as a name, Electrum sounds cool, but it's fucking pointless.
That should be like above platinum.
It feels like it should be just a metal used in mithril weapons.
But no,
and
it's
that's it.
Mithril that's
How
above
cool.
platinum.
Mithril coins are worth 3 platinum and a dick sucking. Yeah, 5e is really weird in that sense, and I don't like. It's very combat heavy in its design and of like the classes and everything else, and that combat can be pretty fucking lackluster. And since it's so complex with the rules and detailed, it's really hard to alter combat to the way you'd like it. So it's, again, simultaneously like underdeveloped and overdeveloped, which sucks. Also, another tangent, on combat, I really don't like how in the 5e, base 5e rules, the way it's structured and made is that largely what makes a fight interesting is reliance on the DM making like an interesting map, or like choosing an interesting monster, or like putting interesting stakes to it, and almost jack shit to the player's own like decision making. Because the fucking decision making you make in combat is cast spell or take attack action.
I just want to give a shout out to Cable for making a 5e fighting encounters actually fun. Like,
Oh well, thank you, Ben.
Agreed.
Yeah.
a lot of other people I've had interesting encounters with in the 5e system. You're like next level with that shit, Cable.
Can I give a shout out to Ninja Dan's Funhouse for letting me throw bad guys?
Yes.
That's a fucking champion.
Letting me actually interact with the terrain is so satisfying.
Yeah.
That's why
Yo.
I almost exclusively like throw
He's
things.
not here, but I'm a fucking like toot his horn for like half a second. Dan intentionally builds his maps with the feeling of us noticing shit on there and wanting us to interact with those things. He puts that level of detail into making the combat feel so authentic and realistic that he is adamantly like some of the shit he does for map building. It's like, well, fuck. Shit, what the hell have I been doing? I just been putting pictures down on a fucking square. You're over here next level in this shit. Like, goddamn, man.
It's,
Yeah,
it's noticing enough detail that I think Deep Nocturne episode 1 has already been posted. So I'm going to
Yeah,
just
it's
mention Scorvo.
Scorvo curl into toilet.
Is that that was like a token tracker that was just on the map for the bad guys. And because of the fact that it was just sitting on like a hot dog stand, which we called the Weenie Hut Juniors, obviously. We kept talking about it enough that eventually Dan like fully cemented into the bit that since it was on the map, it was a physical entity named Scorvo. And when the fight was over, Scorvo retreated into the bathroom, never to be seen again.
I love Scorvo.
I really hope he shows up again at some point in the future.
Fucking
Even if it's
man.
just like him scuttling across the screen.
To kind of cover the point you were just talking about real quick, and actually in conjunction to what you were saying too, Batty.
Yep.
The way I approach combat through 5e is, and I'll tell you this too, Final Phantasma I would count as my first official, like really heavily DMing combat for stuff. But I did have practice with something that I worked on beforehand, which was I don't even remember what the fuck I called it. Like we didn't even have a name for it. It was an impromptu thing IRL with my friends. But my friends act a lot like the way I do, so combat was never going to be normal whatsoever. My friend actually I won't use his actual name because I know he doesn't want me to do that, but he's part of the reason Final Phantasma exists because he helped build the original classes for that. He played a muscle wizard who had some very powerful gauntlets, and his reasoning in combat was the weakest point on the human body is the asshole. So that's where he aims for. So shit built out where it was like whenever he would nat 20, it was like, all right, you've aimed directly for the asshole. And there have been shit where he destroyed a bee here by driving straight through it like Goku using the dragon fist with the like aiming asshole through mouth to destroy it. And that was his tactical way of fighting. And we would talk about it in character where it's like, oh, why do you do this? He's like, because the asshole is the most guarded place on the human body. It's naturally the weakest. And as that went on, I learned to develop the thing of where I like the rules for 5e, but if the rules subtract for fun, and it's not and it's like it's really impeding how much fun can be had for the players, I don't want to adhere to it because D&D is a game, and if nobody's having fun with it, or if we're minimizing the maximum amount of fun for rules, that's kind of like it lacks that storytelling punch in my feel. Which is why when you guys come to me with something crazy for Final Phantasma, I'm like, no, crazier the better. Let me know what dumb shit you're planning. I will find a way to mechanically make that shit work.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I don't quite like fighting mechanics, is because it doesn't have that sort of... The moment you roll initiative, you're following very strict rules, and it doesn't have that element of like free choice that you do outside of initiative.
Can I just say, real quick, the worst fucking way to do encounters ever, and if you're a DM, please consider against doing this. I'm not saying you can't do this and not make it fun, but as somebody who's fallen into this trap themselves as a DM, having a single NPC in a wide open room where there is nothing
It's boring.
It's so boring. Because what happens is, because of the mechanics of 5e, all of probably, maybe all of the players, but if not most of the players, are just going to crowd around that so they can get the advantage from flanking. And the entire fight is just going to be in one location, like in the center of the board, where nobody moves around or does anything other than spam the attack action.
Can I talk about something actually that involves like why combat is bad?
Yep.
Can we talk about how D&D like involves dungeons? You know, the dungeons in Dungeons and Dragons, and how dungeons have no purpose other than there is an enemy, kill it. By design, how Dungeons and Dragons sets itself up, even with like its modular dungeons, like the ones that you get in the books, most of the dungeons hold very little actual purpose.
I would sort of disagree. What's weird I've noticed about like 5e mechanics is that there's a lot of stuff that's like, oh, you get this back on like a short rest, or you get this back when initiative is rolled, or long rest. And that sort of, like, you see that a lot in the 5e rulebook, which very much harkens back to the older school of dungeon delving that D&D originates from. And I would say there is something to be said about that sort of style of game, where it's not so much about what you do in an individual combat, on more how you explore this sort of maze, or like, what's the word? Arena? Gauntlet? Like this sort of series of trials, and how you sort of manage that with your own resources.
I think it depends widely on what is the purpose of the dungeon and how it's handled.
That's the thing though, and I'm gonna harp on this for a second, but the fact that D&D at its core is something called Dungeons and Dragons, like adapting that, like really, I don't always want to do dungeons, or I don't want to do long labyrinthian style mazes for you guys to go through. Sometimes it's like you really just want to, like, sometimes having a straightforward room is pretty tricky to do in 5e mechanics, because you really got to go over the top and making it something interactive for the players to like get involved with. But it's really hard to like break out of there should be multiple rooms to something players are traveling through, or to make, like, if you're going into an establishment, feel really like built out. Like that's kind of something I'm dealing with Oops All Saiyans right now, is like I had to put a lot of thought into what you guys are doing now, but there was no way to just make it a more simple thing for you guys to go through, but still make it feel fucking good. Because one big fear I have as a DM is, and I think most DMs will agree to this too, it's like, there can always be a thing with wondering if you can do rules right or not, but you never want your players to just be bored. If your players are bored, then it kind of hurts, where it's like oh, you're bored with what I do. It's like, I wasn't able to provide a satisfying, like, fun experience for my players to play through. And that's long story short, as a DM, I prioritize if my players are having fun over the rules more than anything else. Like, I keep the rules in mind, keep order, but if you guys aren't having fun, I will adjust things so that you guys can have fun, because that's what's the most important to me.
To elaborate on that, if you're a DM playing 5e, here's my little word of advice. If you're not running sort of that gauntlet style of game, where like you legitimately have to wonder about your resources and your management of them, maybe consider just fucking not caring about those rules.
Fuck it.
Yeah, like, if it's not relevant, like, if you're just gonna be like, okay, there's gonna be one combat today, and that's sort of just how we run the game, and it's more about just, like, role-playing with friends, I recommend just not giving a shit about the rules that much.
I love the RP sessions in D&D. I think that's more fun than combat sometimes.
I've only seen 2 instances of dungeons that I really like. One was in Primrose, which I jumped again, like, the idea of the gauntlet of trials and then managing your resources can be really fun if it's done right and clever. You just gotta do it right, which, you know, is hard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm going to brag on my friend I'm with Stupid, who, yes, he runs a all-rogue campaign that me, Jack, and Junk were in.
Stupid have a Twitter handle that people can follow if they're checking stuff?
Yes, I almost forgot. Hold on, I need to get the full Twitter handle. But I would love to fucking promo Stupid. Just it's I'm with Stupid and I with no spaces. I don't think he posts much, but basically he runs an all rogues campaign where it's the primary idea behind it stealth. Now we're kind of psychopaths, so we kind of usually kill off and or incapacitate all the guards. But
and by that he means when he tried to knock someone out, he fucking straight up killed them with a sleep dart to the neck.
Yeah, that was a nat 20. We're ignoring that for now. Anyways, as I was saying, so most of his maps are specific locations that have multiple different rooms to explore. If we're lucky, we'll get blueprints to the location, but usually we have like a job. Either it's to steal something, or to rescue hostages, or to take out a specific target. And there are armed guards everywhere. So if we want to be smart about things, usually what we do is either go on a bit of recon or take out guards when we can. The problem is if we were to alert everybody, like in the trial of the hostage situations where Urine Clint's character nearly died, Jack. Situations like that can be really fucking bad. But like again, only unfortunate part about that campaign, this isn't Stupid's fault. Because of 5e mechanics, those sessions usually take a really long time because
Boo,
Yeah.
5e, boo.
Fucking how long did it take us to explore the one? No, like the one area. Like the one big like castle we were in.
We were in the
didn't leave
castle.
fucking
We
hallway.
didn't leave the fucking front door, the front entryway until like an hour in.
And we had a shit ton of map left.
Yeah, that's something sort of about that style of like dungeon delving is that it can take a long fucking time.
I mean, I don't
Yeah.
mind it because I'm a fucking psychopath
Yeah.
and I like D&D, but you know, it's not for everybody.
Yeah, but
Keep
Yeah,
keep
there
them
are
short.
some of
Is
us who
what I
can't
follow.
focus for that long.
Kind of a separate topic from this, but I got one if everybody wants to go down the list and go through this. So we've talked about favorite like improv NPCs and how we feel about the rules. What's your favorite planned NPC?
oh man.
Or do you want to go down the list from the other side this
Oh my
time?
god, there's
Starting with
too
June?
many.
Let's start junk downwards. Is downwards
Okay.
a word? Junk downwards.
Junk sideways.
Okay, fun. Oh god, I have to remember all of my NPCs.
Remember them like they're your mother's eyes.
I can't. I mean, Orchid is fun, just because they're like your cutie. They're like a stupid fucking dragon that just lives out in the woods, and they're fun because they're like my favorite kind of person to roleplay as, which is just dumbass. And they're very kind and sweet. Aside from that, I can't quite remember many others.
That's fair. I'm sure with things to come from now on, and depending on whether it's with us or not, Junk, you're gonna come up with a legion of new NPCs. Both some that are fun, some that'll tell Cable that they'll fucking kill them, and I'm sure that there'll be so many more, because you just have the type of brain where it's like NPCs get pooped out regularly, and I like most of, if not all of them, when they show up.
Also, you were very accurate.
Yay, they'll fucking kill me.
No, I'll kill you with a knife.
Fucking kill me. I think I told, slight tangent, I think I've told Batty and Jack before that when you come into a call, Junk, and you don't say that you'll fucking kill me, I'm worried that if something's wrong with you, I'm scared if I don't have my life threatened by you.
I will throw you in the river and eat your liver.
Oh my god, Junk's safe today. That's fine.
Okay.
Luis, spit that funky music.
I don't even want to say anymore.
Go on.
No, drop it. Imagine it is like it is hot and drop it.
I got nothing.
You can't think of a favorite planned NPC?
A favorite what?
Like an NPC,
NPC.
somebody you've made, even
Ah.
if along the lines like if your players didn't necessarily enjoy it, but more that somebody you really had like somebody that was close to your heart when you made for a campaign, or you really went in with the expectation that like I really hope the players do like this because I really like what I've made here.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking. I was like thinking real hard, but I think my campaign didn't run long enough that I got attached to any of my NPCs. Because they did all the NPCs they met was just one-offs, or either they got missions for them and then fuck off for a couple sessions,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and they weren't that active in a party. I didn't even send NPCs with them to do things, because hell no, I wasn't gonna like play a character inside. It's
Yeah.
that's difficult, because I make characters for one-off battles for specific things, and oh hell no.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah, my campaign only run like for 6 games, I think. I think we didn't even get to 6 games. Because
when you run a new one with us, I'm telling you right now, when you run that Gundam campaign in the future, which will happen, expect I want an NPC who is my Master Asia, because I'm playing a full Domon costume character for a Gundam campaign.
yeah, boy.
My hands are gonna glow with an awesome power, and I'm
Yeah,
not
you
gonna
know
buy-
that the problem is you want that, and I don't want to make that. I don't know how we're gonna find like
Listen,
a metal.
answer me, Louise. All right, the School of the Undefeated of the East, Wings of the King, Keiretsu Tenpa Kyoren. Look, the East is burning red.
God damn it.
It's already happening.
Anyway, yeah, but I can't say I have a favorite NPC that I made, honestly.
That's fair.
Okay.
So
Jobits?
next,
Chibi.
Do guest characters count?
I'll let guest characters count on
So-
the basis that I'm me.
So if we're talking about like my favorite planned guest character, Dave.
Dave!
I fucking
hate Dave.
love
I
Dave.
love Dave. I love
So-
everything about
I
him.
hate him.
Here's the thing about
God.
Dave, and this is a bit of a
Explain, Dave.
backstory. So Cable asked me to come in for the Halloween special, as this NPC who would basically just have like Halloween themed monsters, and then he would turn like all the characters into children, and then at the end there'd be this big boss fight. That's all he gave me. Originally he gave me like a design of what Dave looked like, and I, being a little shit stain, just went ahead and went, what if he had leggings? So then he had leggings.
Don't
And
call
then,
you. You are a fucking wonderful being.
and then that was for the most part all the conversation that me and Cable had, outside of like me asking, hey, can I rhyme with this character? And
I
Cable was
would-
like, yeah, sure. Little did he know that the second that I would open my mouth, it would be fucking Pegasus from Yu-Gi-Oh, who was rhyming the entire time, and I had an absolute wonderful time. A little sad that I couldn't have stayed longer.
Listen, I got plans for Dave in the future. Don't act like Dave is gone.
Ugh.
Also,
I'll admit, Gotti, Dave is coming back, and Dave is gonna love him.
actually, no, the Fear Turkey was also planned.
Talking
Um,
about guest characters, and I'm over here twiddling my thumbs.
Okay, you can talk about Bull Market.
Bull Market hasn't showed up yet.
You can still
Listen,
talk about it.
it doesn't matter if bull market's shown up or hasn't shown up, Junk. The fact of the matter is, you had so many goons. You had so many goons.
Oh my goons!
Oh my goons! I got so many goons. Junk, can I tell you that from bull market's appearance, me as a DM, I was ashamed that I haven't been able to work you into like a guest character sooner.
I know.
You are such an energy that can be brought into a campaign that it is an active waste to not have you in something.
Oh, thank you. Batty can also attest to that because I
was
also
about to
was
say-
like a character.
Wink. Wink.
Wink.
Wink.
Also shades.
Shades,
Noodle.
I love Shades.
Fucking shades.
Noodle, are you still
to
here?
Batty. Before we jump to Batty, Noodle.
I'm still here.
Okay. You just
I
been
know you
quiet.
don't
I
have
want to
a-
make sure you're alright.
I know you don't have a lot right now just because Onryo's only done one session so far, but I know you love Hideyoshi, or is there somebody else?
I love my son. I love him. He's so
Noodle,
I love your
you
son
have the
too.
floor. Please rant about Hideyoshi for a while. Tell me why you love him so much.
Oh my god, I wanted to spoil it to you guys for the longest time because we kept edging on the Onryo session, and I had him planned for literal fucking months. I was hoping you guys were going to pick it up on what his gimmick was based on context clues, like, you know, his design. Because his hair is red, his eyes are white, which are the Japanese lucky colors.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And his Hayori originally was supposed to be like coins, like you see on a Maneki Neko, like that. But I thought it seemed a little bit too obvious, so I changed the design somewhat. Batty can actually attest to that as well. He helped me design Hideyoshi.
Yeah. I fucking, as somebody who's not seen Onryo, I love Hideyoshi. Just listening, because I was Noodle's spoiler boy for Onryo, because I'm not in that game. And just like getting to help her design him and hearing about him was so fucking fun. I love him.
And I deliberately designed him to be disgustingly broken as a support character. So I very badly wanted you guys to like him and also his gimmick because it's an original dress style.
Yeah.
But I also think you guys are gonna fucking hate what I'm going to do with him.
Listen,
She's
I
gonna give him a
guarantee
mustache.
I'm gonna hate what the hell it is you do, but as a DM, it's not your business to wonder if I'm gonna hate with what I do. You do what it is you need to do.
I do
I
have
almost killed
another.
Suzaku like 8 times.
Fuck you!
Yeah, but
Listen,
Susaku's not your. Well, it kind of is your
This is
original
new
character.
Suzaku, alright? My Suzaku is different from Togashi's Suzaku. Not to say Togashi's Suzaku is bad. I love everything Togashi's done.
Yep.
Like, we'll get to that in a
Our
little while.
interpretations of Togashi characters are very far different than their original
I have
incarnations.
one other NPC that I have waiting in the wings that I fucking adore, and y'all haven't met them yet, and it makes me sad.
I think I know who they are.
Do you know who they are, Maddie?
Vaguely. I don't know entirely about them.
Listen,
I've already spoiled it for Cable.
you told me a
I
little bit
can't-
about him, but I'm excited. Just because I know what an NPC is, that doesn't mean I know how they'll work in the moment when you actually use them. And that boils down to your specific style of DMing, Noodle, which I do like. So how you handle things in the moment will determine how that NPC feels. And I'm more than excited to see how you handle that. Like, never shortchange yourself. You're a good DM. You know what the hell you're doing. Batty's a good DM too, and he's next on the list. But don't make me go off on how much I love Bugs X Bones, because I'll fucking make you blush, motherfucker.
Oh fuck. Okay, well, to avoid that, I guess I'm gonna go off about my favorite NPCs for Bugs Like Spawn specifically, which I was thinking about. I'm like, oh god, it's gonna be hard to narrow them down. And no, I actually have a pretty straightforward answer. I came up with 4 that I kind of all like, and you're probably not gonna like some of them. So, Anne, obviously.
Love Anne. Again, if Dan was here, he would fucking adamantly like preach for Anne.
Neelam, which honestly was helped by Dan because, you know, he's tied to Grifter's backstory.
Neelam can
Even
drink
though
my
he's a
shit.
fucking ass.
And
Even though he's an asshole, he's a fucking great villain.
And
so
Darrow.
far.
The reason
I like
I
Darrow.
personally love Victoria.
I love Victoria too. She's like conceptually, as far as like that stuff, I love her. It's just specifically based off of backstory and personality, because the thing I love about Anne, Neelam, and Darrow specifically is I like making antagonists. Now, I'll preface this with not by calling people villains, because I don't like necessarily referring to people as villains, because you can be an antagonist and not be completely evil. Also, I like giving, like, character motivations and weird shit like that, but, Anne was supposed to be a villain. I think I've told you this before, but if you guys weren't supposed to befriend Anne, she was gonna trick you and leave you on the curb.
And now she's an in-law.
And now she's...
What?
Now she's getting... Yes. Do you not know that, Luis?
We were supposed to... Anne was going to end up probably being one of our big villains for the arc.
If you guys didn't befriend Anne, she was going to be either the villain in the next arc or future arcs. And you weren't supposed to hate her necessarily, but she was going to fuck with you. And the fourth NPC in Bugs Expones, which is purely because of self-indulgent BS.
TL?
Yes, TL, aka Terra Lynx. TL is the one of the newer characters in the arc, along with Darrow. I fucking love him so much. And
I like TL.
TL helps that, like, he is kind of, like, not my self-insert character that I model him off of me, but my self-insert character is I would definitely play him in a campaign if I was playing a Hunter x Hunter themed campaign.
We'll get to DMs with their self-insert characters when we talk about PCs that, like, NPCs we like bad.
Pyro and TL should go drinking.
Them. We will get to them.
Okay. Fucking Jack, go.
I love TL.
Thank you.
I gotta say, out of all the characters, all the NPCs I've done, I like all the Data Weaver Digimon I've created. Those are my favorites.
Oh, so like
That includes
Stickermon.
Stickermon and Mummymon.
Stickermon, Mummymon, and especially Bancho Leomon at this point.
I can tell you, like, Bancho Leomon, he has a lot of, like heart to him when we talk to him.
Yeah.
I half thought, Jack, this might just be me, like, reaching for things. I half thought Agumon was gonna be on the list, because the way you do the hugs are nice.
Nah. He was just a dumb child who had way too much power.
I love your original Digimon too, Jack. You really, like, you really, it shows that you love Digimon to a degree, because the designs and concepts you come up for them, like, they're different enough from the Digimon franchise to tell they're original, yet they still have that feel where, like, I could see them being a Digimon in the actual franchise. I know that sounds weird to state, but it is, like, it's obvious you love what the hell you're doing with this campaign. And it just makes me love it more, because you know how much I fucking love this series.
And I gotta say, when it has come to trying to design all the champion versions for all your Digimon, like, they took some time. Some of them just off random side comments that people made. Like Shot Kyojinbomon for one.
Yo.
When you said, literally, I took the one line you said, both with her and with Blaze and Telemon. You know, when she digivolves, she's just gonna get more knives.
Oh my god, Shot
She got one as Stealth Telemon, she got 3 as Shot Kyojinbomon, and she has
5 as Blaze and Telemon. You know, I told Chibi this too because it was when we were guessing what Lopmon's Mega would be. I was like, I wonder if Jack's just gonna do the thing with like Angemon where I'm gonna get like slash Cherubimon, where it's just like Cherubimon with 7 knives floating behind her.
I fucking veered you off that one, didn't I?
So when you had actually mentioned that, I am Jack's spoiler boy. I get to see a lot of stuff like in pre-production. So when you were mentioning stuff like that, Cable, I had to very quickly like cover that up with dirt. I was like, I don't know, maybe you never know.
Yeah, I can kind of get like a weird feel for certain things, but a lot of times it's like I like not knowing what Jack will do because it makes Digimon more fun for me when we play through it. Like I love Digimon Knighthood, Jack. Like there's a different ranking for how I enjoyed playing characters, but Seiichi is up there with Tonbo, and I don't say that lightly because I adore playing Tonbo every week. Like Tonbo and Seiichi mean a lot to me, and I would be fucking horrified if anything happened to either one of them.
Speaking of weird feelings for things, that is Dan's hidden talent, is being able to suss out what people's intentions are.
Dan's a fucking psychic, and we need to burn him at the stake for which he is. But
No, that's going to be something we have to talk about later with Dan.
yeah,
But
Dan.
if I can veer back a sec.
Yes.
Yeah,
of
my
course.
Data Weaver Digimon. Like,
Damn
especially
dangerous
with
because he actually talks to real people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck that. But Data Weaver Digimon, Jack, go.
Yeah, like Bancho Leomon, especially like at this point, like he wasn't meant to have that much of a backstory. He was just gonna have like the same backstory that he's got in like the actual franchise itself. The fact that he just lost a leg was just something I decided to give him to say, that's something nice for character traits. And now because of characters interfering with things, that is a whole quest and storyline that I had to even weave other characters in. That's why we have Darkdramon with a missing arm and an eye.
Darkdramon will be my friend.
And there's so much charm to how you handle Bancho Leomon. Like, I adore it. Like, it's...
Because he just started off as a very tired, like, miserable man.
You have a habit with Digimon NPCs, Jack, where I know them from the franchise, but I never know how you're going to handle them when they appear. And you've made me love certain Digimon that maybe I actively just wouldn't have paid attention to in the real world. Like, where it's like, I don't necessarily... I'll be fair, and I'll be completely upfront with this. You know I don't like Rise Greymon.
Mm-hmm.
I love Rise Greymon Alter. And it's just kind of made me appreciate the original Rise Greymon a little bit more. Where it's like, I love what you do. I love how you handle these things. And you're, especially with Bancho Leomon too, like I can tell he's one of your favorites to like play. Because he's so likable, because there's so much life to him. I love the Banchos. And I will have Bancho Baby Beach Party one day.
Someday.
Also,
I do have to say, just like one more before, I like the fact I like playing the Demon Lords as well, but specifically that I've got to play Belphemon and Beelzemon completely different to what they're supposed to technically be. I've liked breaking like that story that the 7 Demon Lords are all bad guys, blah blah blah. It's like no.
No, 2 of them are
They
good.
have their own feelings in this situation as well.
Fucking
One of them is just a beast, so he does not really care. And then we have the one that's not supposed to wake up until his alarm wakes him up to do his job. Or her job in this case, because Belphemon's now a female in this one.
Is Belphemon female? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Belphemon's female in this. In my game.
But I love them all, Jack. You do a wonder every Sunday on Digimon, and I adore playing in that game. There's so much fun to be had playing Seiichi, especially with the. It's not so much the getting the different Digivolutions. It's just more seeing what your world's gonna look like and how you interpret the different things. Because you and I are equally big Digimon fans, and not to turn this into the Digimon podcast, I'll drop this soon. I just want Jack to know how much I appreciate Digimon Knighthood. So much so that me and Louise wrote a fucking song about it. Go check it out on the YouTube.
Successor on Final Phantasma YouTube, which you're probably on watching this podcast.
That's the brag. Go check that shit out. Fucking tits. But now, in terms of obvious like favorite NPCs, the leading thing that most people would probably expect is for me to say Pyro, because Pyro was my player character when Final Phantasma wasn't something we streamed, but something another friend of mine ran, and I love Pyro dearly. You know how close he is to my heart.
Oh, yeah.
But I adamantly decided early on I will kill Pyro if story necessary.
Yeah.
But my favorite, if I had to really pick my favorite Final Phantasma NPC, just because of how much I like them and I enjoy them when they're in a scene with somebody, it is a tie between getting to play, and this will sound weird, it is a tie between Misha and it is a tie between Hideki. Misha and Hideki are probably two of my favorite NPCs for Final Phantasma.
I
could kind of see Misha. I was not expecting Hideki.
I love Hideki. Hideki so much, like, just the way I built Hideki to be, and the way I envisioned Hideki, like with the whole he's the working in the office because he's the single father NPC who doesn't want to actually like lose his life because he doesn't want to leave his son behind. Is Hideki is a bit more like, if I had to really say, like, Hideki and Pyro probably tie for what I would imagine like a self-insert character to be. For different reasons, obviously, which I won't go into on this podcast, but Hideki and Pyro both mean a lot to me for very different reasons. And Misha is somebody I fucking love. I adore Misha with like a fucking full heart, because she is an angry piece of shit who has like a weird nice side to her, and she's not necessarily always as mad as everything, but Misha has a lot of grit to her where she can be kind, but she still will call somebody a fucking cocksucker right to their face. And
Nice.
there's so much like love I have for those two specifically. I wish I could go on more of a tangent for it, but that we don't have the time for me to just delve into why I love Misha and Hideki.
We're nearing 2 hours, so should we move to horror stories?
We're good. Like there's no like strict time constraint on this one.
Yeah, as long as it's like not a 7-hour podcast, we should be good.
If you guys want to go into horror stories, I will be happy to jump in a bit. I have to step away for half a second, but I'll be right back.
All right.
Okay, who wants to start off this shit show?
How about I start off, because I only have a very light one.
Okay.
My one horror story is the time I signed up for local D&D at a local game shop.
Oh.
And I showed up one day, and let me tell you, I was perpetually sort of getting sick with the people I was playing D&D with. I don't mean that that like they're bad people. I just didn't drive with them. And eventually one day, I showed up, and one of the other players was going to DM for the night, and we show up. I'm like, all right, I'm ready, and she's like, okay, let me just like get some stuff prepared before we start. And I was sitting there with the other players, watching her stat stuff out and get ready for the campaign for, I think, over an hour and a half.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
not right.
We were like sitting there waiting for fucking Starfinder to start, twiddling our thumbs and messing with our dice for a fucking long time. At one point, one player was just resting his head on the table.
No, that's not okay. You come prepared to being a DM.
I'm sorry, I wasn't here. What'd you say, Junk?
Well, you can re-listen to it when you edit. Next person.
Junk, I just want to say,
Oh, that really...
I felt guilty the other day when I took an extra 20 minutes to draw out tokens for Bugs Expons.
Oh,
Shit.
Was this an unprepared story?
Yes.
I got
The DM was preparing for the game. in
This was a
front of us.
very unprepared story.
Luis, do you
That's
have
not
anything?
okay.
Horror stories as it is. Well, I can tell it's not. My horror stories is with the lawyering thing. It's not something specific that happened, but it was a series of events of people constantly stopping because, but the rules.
Oh no.
And it's
Oh.
this specific, it's one specific guy in that group that was always, but the rules. It's
you don't gotta you don't gotta drop names, dude. But please regale us with the tale of what the fuck you had to deal with.
I mean, I actively block all that memory out of my head because I don't care about it anymore. But if anyone can take away anything from this, is yeah, the rules are there, but the moment the rules are more important than the fun, just they are moot. They don't matter anymore. It's D&D is something to have fun, and I 100% pity people that thinks that going by the specific rules is their way of having fun, because
So, I have a plethora of horror stories that go in an exact contrast to that, unfortunately. Of this is what happens when the rules are not followed.
Okay, so Chibi, I have a question. Is this something that you can probably trail back to after you finish one, or are you going to unload all of them at the same time?
Oh, I can come back to these. Trust. I have these so fresh in my mind that I can bring them up whenever I feel like.
Okay, because we might want to save some of those after we go around the table.
So I will start with the quickest one. So there was a brief period of time where it was summer break, and so I was a part of a D&D club in high school. Basically one of the only people who was kind of dedicated towards it. Yay. It was summer break, and we were apparently meeting up at the public library to play D&D. I decided that instead of playing standard D&D, we would have some fun, since a lot of people who were at the club also liked anime. So I decided to create a custom Full Metal Alchemist campaign.
Oh my fucking god, you say that.
And this is where this gets interesting. For the most part, everyone decided that they wanted to play as soldiers, so it made things really easy. But I will introduce us to... I don't remember his name exactly. I don't remember the player's name either. So we're going to call this character's name Grog. Because he might as well have been absolutely fecking wasted. Grog was a demolitions expert. When I say demolitions expert, I mean he knew how to hit a switch. Very little intelligence, focused primarily in strength and nothing else. And after a whole encounter of combat, this player had done nothing. Quite literally, at one point, had the character sleep in the middle of combat.
what?
Yeah, I don't know. Trust me, this gets even weirder. Then, the player at the end of combat makes this declaration: "I take my shovel and I dig a hole." I went, "Okay." So he dug a hole, and I asked him like, how deep do you want this hole to go? And he goes, I want it to go so it can cover my entire body. So he made a hole that was deeper than him. He was like this giant dude. He was like 7 foot something. So it's a really deep hole. It took him a while, but he did it. I was like, okay, you do it. I kid you not. The words that came from this man's lips afterwards left me speechless. I shit in the hole.
What?
He says, I shit in the hole.
Can I ask why?
Here's the thing. I asked that question. He just said, because I want to. So I was like, okay, you shit in the hole. He then proceeds to say, I place a C4 on my shit.
What?
Now, here's where this comes to mind. He never got out of the hole. I think you know where this is going.
He blew himself up with his shit.
Yes, he hits the demolition charge, and then because of the damage that I had set on it, it was made specifically for breaching walls. So fleshy human. I then had to describe to the rest of the group as I was like slowly reaching for the guy's sheet, just how they, as they were packing up all of their equipment and getting ready to leave, saw a mixture of fecal matter and blood come from a hole after a booming explosion.
What? What?
To which, here's where this gets even odder. The player then, without the one who had just died, without even any remorse, just went, nice.
Oh my god. Chibi.
I hate them, but what a fucking legend.
I still to this day don't know why this happened, and I have another story involving the same player.
Listen, they
What
get
the
a
same-
Darwin,
Oh, he did.
they get
No,
a
'cause
Darwin
I'm
award as far as I'm considered.
Why did you do that?
Because I was a young, inexperienced DM, and I just took whatever players I could get.
That's
Yeah.
fine. Thank God for the internet.
Yeah. But
Oh
I have
my-
more stories, but I will pass the torch off to whoever wants next.
I think it would go down the line to Noodle.
I have got no horror stories. Literally every single campaign I've been in has just been a peach.
What about the
Fuck
what
is
about
this
the
video game?
what about the superhero one you were in before us?
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that one.
Oh.
Oh, I forgot about that. That was a long ass time
Your,
ago.
your DM for that one, you told me the stories. You sounded like a fucking prick.
He was my boyfriend at the time.
Oh
You
no!
left him
Ah, fun.
So my technically my first ever D&D thing was with a boyfriend that like I said, I had at the time, and it was like it was pretty heavily homebrewed, and it was set in a thing that was basically like, oh, let's be superheroes. I was like, cool. I accidentally made a character that in a campaign we're not supposed to kill people was exceptionally good at killing people. Because she was very like strength heavy and also burning fists, and it was cool, I thought anyway. But the thing was, I wanted to do a lot of like joking around and stuff like that, but they were very, very keen on letting me know that whatever I said without doing a specific gesture was considered in canon to what the character was saying, and I found that super annoying. So anytime I would be like making jokes with his friends who were like coming over to his apartment to do the game, if I was not doing a specific gesture, it counted as canon. And I don't remember specifically what it was, but apparently I ended up like doxing the party in like kind of a major event because of that.
What?
It was so.
It
Was
kind
it,
of put a bad taste in my mouth, so I had him basically kill off my character because I was like, oh, I don't think I like this.
you got stuck in a party with a bunch of people who were so adamant on that you can't break being in character that you couldn't just like make jokes with the rest of the people around you because it was like anything
Yeah.
you said would be
It's-
stuck in character.
It's kind of why, for most of my other characters I play nowadays, I try to have them have a different voice to differentiate me goofing off as myself and me goofing off as my character.
Listen, you do what you need to do, Noodle. We can tell the difference between an in-character Noodle and a not out-of-character Noodle. It's like that type of shit is not to take away. It's fucking frustrating. It's like that's like basically not even making it a game. It's just like being super fucking annoying for the sake of being annoying.
Yeah.
It feels more like you're doing like a proper TV series, not like a fun game with friends. Cause there's no fun there.
You know, I still think it's incredibly funny though, because my first ever character, and they barely explained what I was doing properly, so it was really on them for why it didn't work out. But the character was, honest to God, disgusting in combat.
That checks out for you, Noodle, because your characters are that.
The way you
No,
fucking
I'm
roll
not.
stats,
I'm not
dude.
even kidding. Like the first encounter, like apparently it was this sort of thing like where your powers manifest suddenly, and then you just like go out and be like, "Let's be superheroes!" But our first encounter, where we're supposed to not kill people, she punches someone and they fucking explode.
Well, that's your DM rolling shitty.
Yeah.
Accountability can't always be held on the players too. If the DM rules shit in a weird way, you need to be able to like. That's not to like pull away from this conversation, but that's why I like to ask people too. A lot of the times, how do you want to end this?
Yeah. If, like, you randomly do something that you were intending on doing, and you don't have any, like, there's, like, not thinking about something, but if you're misunderstanding a mechanic or not even told about a mechanic, and then the DM decides to implement the mechanic that against your will, that's pretty fucked up.
It's not so much I was implemented against my will. I have a feeling they thought I knew, but I really didn't. Like,
again,
it takes me a little while to learn things, especially involving mathematical related things.
Still,
once I get it, I'm pretty solid.
There's 100% a thing about player accountability. Like, if you're gonna be in a campaign, you should know your characters moving forward. But it is also on the DM too to like be aware of, you know, really opening a conversation with your players. Like, are you sure you know everything that's going on? Do you need me to explain anything? Is something not clear for you? Like, your players are still just your people, and you're working with a bunch of different people to make something entertaining, regardless, that everybody can enjoy. And if you should never assume as a DM. You should always make sure things are clear for your players and for yourself as well. Because the second you start assuming is when you can start like building up negative relationships with your players, which is something you should never want to do.
Yeah.
At least if you can avoid it. But that wasn't. I don't attribute that to being on you, Noodle. That's more of a DM fault, if I had to be completely honest from my own opinion.
Yeah, well, like I said, I genuinely forgot about it because every campaign I've been in with you guys has been, like, addictive.
Once you find your group, it becomes a drug, D&D.
That's something I also wanted to bring up earlier. D&D, a large part, is finding the right group of people that you're comfortable with DMing. Because, like, we complain about, like, shitty D&D players, but honestly, if you're a shitty D&D player to say, like, me, for example, you might not be a shitty, like, D&D player to play with for somebody who plays like you. Like, if you had, like, a party full of murder hobos, for example, where the DM was also murder hobo, they're gonna have a fun D&D game. It's just gonna be chaotic as all hell and just murdering innocent NPCs left and right. But all the psychopaths that are playing that game are gonna have a good time doing it.
Yeah, that's why, like, I'm really glad I found a game with you DMing as the DM, Betty, because, like, we tend to be sort of on the same, like, wavelength when it comes to D&D. Like, I feel like both of us would want to sign up for a game where like your equipment can be damaged and break over time.
Oh yeah,
Like we both play like not being the strongest, most toughest guy. We like being the underdog.
I like being the underdog that has everything going against them. I fucking love those types of characters. If I could play a campaign as just a average schmuck with I would love playing in a D&D campaign where I played as a character that didn't even know how to fight. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, me too. That's basically soup.
That sounds a bit of what I wanted to do with my Gundam thing.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Because my whole idea wasn't doing like straight up like traditional Gundam. It was taking the idea of the people don't like this much, but build divers. Sorry,
yeah.
That's basically an RPG. Like you go into a world, like a digital world, where what you have like it's more like a JRPG kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, they can break your Gundam parts and you lose them, but you can also break them, and you can just, I like this arm, plop.
Yeah. I'm gonna be real with you, Luis. I am not a big Gundam fan myself. I just haven't really gone through the franchise. If you need an extra player for Gundam, that actually sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, because it's not gonna be in any Gundam universe. It's my own. Either a game where you're all playing in a game and we have in-game, like, you can go outside of the game or inside of the game to do stuff.
Yeah.
Or it's gonna be, like, on one weird universe I create. But I like the idea of making it, like, semi-JRPG kind of thing.
On the topic of that, like, arm plopping off and adding it to your Gundam, crafting systems and player customization could be a whole ass other topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And how? I mean, like I said, with my data weavers, that's exactly what they are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And how I'm making it, every single part will have, like, unique stuff. So you can have, like, whatever you want. And it's like, we don't have like a story thing, but I'm missing this part I want. Let's go like find it.
I adamantly look forward to that, Luis.
If I bring myself to finish it.
You know your shit about Gundam, which is like that's something I want to get into, like probably maybe the last or second to last topic we talk about, but let's stick away from horror stories.
Yeah.
I think we were on you next, Batty.
Yeah. So I have a couple. If this podcast gets too long, we can push them to next time, or if we have time, we can circle back to me.
We got time. Go ahead.
There is I think I have 3 off the top of my head, but I'm going to just talk about one right now. And it's a series of interrelated horror stories. Okay.
Oh, is it that one shot that became more than that?
Oh, fuck, that's another horror story. Fuck. I don't even blame the people who are responsible for that, but no. So I hate them more than rules lawyers. Lawyers can be annoying. I get that. I hate them more than fucking murder hobos. And when I say I don't mean I hate them personally. I just cannot mesh with this playstyle at all, and it's usually very obnoxious. Min-maxers drive me fucking crazy.
Oh my god.
So, here's my stance on min-maxers. The idea behind a min-maxer is you're making a D&D character that's essentially breaking all of the stats you can get your hands on to make the most OP, best, most destructive character ever. That's either the best of fighting or the best of doing anything. My problem with that is that usually people do that for the sake of doing it, and I actually have a couple different problems. But first problem, D&D is a roleplay game. If you want to roleplay and do improv, join an improv group. If you want to play a game, play a fucking RPG. If you want to do both, you play D&D. You don't play D&D like a video game unless if you're going to actually RP. And having your character have weaknesses is a big part of the RP. Now, another problem I have with min-maxers, and this is where we get into my most vehement horror story, because I've had a lot of bad experience with min-maxers over the years. My worst qualm with a min-maxer, and the person who does it is having a good time, I don't hate them personally. It's just like, when you min-max, you have to realize D&D is you're playing as a team of people, like usually. There's not usually a one-person D&D campaign. When you decide to make your character have the best stats in everything, and you get the rolls for it, or you fudge some stuff and get the stats to be the best, or you get the combination of race and class, it makes all the other characters irrelevant. And some characters may not be as irrelevant as others, but especially when you're first time you're playing like a character like a fighter, and then the person freaking, oh my god, I forgot what the class is called. It's like
Artificer?
Artificer, yes. You know this junk because I bitched about this before.
Fucking artificers.
The Artificer class has potential to be cool and fun. Not when you have a character that can basically do multi-attack at level 3. They have their own personal bodyguard that can deal a lot of damage and take a lot of hits. They can cast magic anytime they want. They're the team tank. They have the most HP, and they're a really good spellcaster. And all of those things combined, when you make your build specifically to where you have no support abilities, and it's purely just shit to boost your own character, not the other characters in the party, it's really fucking annoying when, you know, you're playing as like a fighter, for example, who doesn't have that much stuff in his toolkit, and you know, you have a very specific idea behind the character, how you want to do, but like, it's like, what's the fucking point? I don't like min-maxing on the basis that it usually ends up adversely affecting other players and the DM as well. If you're playing D&D, please consider that you're playing a roleplay game, not some like a dumb like RPG that you don't even give any investment other than like getting through as fast as possible.
So I tried to avoid this, but essentially what you're saying, Batty, is something I've like brought up as a term. I don't know if it's an actual term or not, but it's avoiding protagonist syndrome, where you feel like you need to be the person who's the best at everything because you're the protagonist of something moving forward, versus being a team that should be universally good at everything, divided amongst a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Like, one person getting protagonist syndrome can ruin a campaign, and I will get into that when we circle to me, but...
Yeah. In a D&D game, you are all the main characters, like all of the player characters, at least this isn't a hard role, but you should usually go into a game expecting that all of the player characters are the main characters of the campaign, not a specific character or not a specific NPC, which is another horror story I have for later, but we can talk about that at a different time.
We might do a second podcast on just like DMing nightmares or further DM conversations, but yeah. I think we're getting close to maybe a good endpoint.
Okay.
No rush in any parts either. Like, Jack, please regale us with tales of things that you would like to vent about D&D.
DM's bullying players, Batty.
Oh,
Is this...
No, I'm just kidding. I don't actually have any.
I was like, oh shit, I'm so fucked.
Oh fuck! It's because Dustin keeps getting hit with doors, or is it something?
3 heart attacks.
It's just 3 heart attacks. It could have been more.
A psych out from a boyfriend.
I mean, I haven't like damaged Sid so far. Oh wait. Oh, that's
You've already traumatized that 14-year-old boy.
yeah. Therapy isn't gonna fix that. Fuck. Okay. Oops.
No, but that is like an actual thing. Like, I haven't experienced it, but it is one I want to go over. DMs who bully their players, like even if they don't realize they're doing it, it's not fun. It doesn't make you feel. It doesn't make you a big person. It makes you one of the problems why people don't want to get into role-playing games.
I've actually had experiences with this myself. Of like
DM antagonism is very bad.
like a passive aggressive, like it's okay to like fuck with your players if they know what they're getting themselves into, and it's like for the sake of like if everybody's like aware of what's going on, it's all right. But that's different than being passive aggressive and then taking it out on your players.
Yeah.
I guess just to real quick, I had a DM that basically considered they would consider themselves the god of that world, and every time they were in a shitty mood, they would just take it out on me and some of the other players.
Wow.
That's fucking weak.
Yeah.
No, that guy, that's just a bully. That's straight up bully.
Somebody with a fucking complex who's like, oh, this is my world. I'm gonna do what I want, and you guys have to sit there and take it.
Yeah. But,
Like, it's true that you're the god of that world, but not in that sense.
Like, have I thought of setting Naoki on fire? Yes, but I'm not gonna fucking do it.
I mean,
I've
unless
thought
if
of
he's fighting a fire demon.
No, just
Look.
in general, like you open the fridge and I set you on fire. I've thought of it, but I'm not gonna do it.
Look, you gotta put the barrel of napalm in front of them so the players light themselves on fire.
Exactly.
No, like he runs a faucet and gets completely wet and then gets caught on fire, but I'm not gonna do it. I've
Cable.
thought of it.
Cable, that's literally just McLean. That is your weapon.
That's why I made you, McLean.
Exactly. He is Chaos Born.
That way I can do horrible things without being accountable for it, because you did it.
I fucking hate McLean, but goddamn did he go out like a fucking champ.
McLean is a fucking champion. But
Yeah, he did.
To-
You can't
to your
say he's a
point,
bad guy.
To your point, DMing doesn't make you the god of a world. You're sort of the person who directs how things will go. But the second you start thinking you're better than your players, that's what makes you kind of a shit DM, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's a group cooperative sort of thing, and you can't think yourself better than your players. Because your
Yeah.
players, without you, you're just a guy with a fan fiction. And if you got a fan
You're there,
fiction,
you're there to fill in the players' blanks to story. That
Yeah.
is it.
if you want to be the god of a world, go to Tumblr.
You're not places like cesspool.
Enough said.
Don't bully your fucking players. Your players, there has to be a mutual trust between players and DMs.
Hmm.
Sorry, I did. Did you have any more you want to like go off on that point with Jack? I didn't want to like take your thing. If you have a specific story, by all means, go straight for it.
As a DM, don't be afraid to take criticisms. Like,
Yeah.
if you've made something too powerful or not powerful enough in combat scenarios, like,
Listening
don't
to
get
your
all
players.
upset about it.
Listening to
Like,
your
when they
players'
say,
feedback is
"That
also
could
very
be-
important.
That
Yeah.
could have been a bit harder, or that could have been easier because there was no way we could deal with that situation.
Yeah.
It's like,
If you're a DM, you're going to fuck up eventually, and don't worry about it. Don't take it too personally. Just learn from it.
Live and learn, baby.
Be open to learning to it too.
Hang
Don't-
on the edge of tomorrow and look back on the words of yesterday.
There's a limit. There's a thing when it comes to being a DM. It's don't get a fucking complex about it, because you're not a god if you're a DM. You're just the person who's running the story. But you have bullet points. The fleshed out fun parts in between are what your players are gonna fill in. and you can either fight against it and make it boring or actively hard for your players, or you can learn to roll with the punches, and you can all make something really fun together that you, or if you choose to stream it or record it, a group of people can enjoy. It's up to you to decide how you want to do it. It's just, you gotta fucking... Don't enjoy the smell of your own farts. Being a DM shouldn't make you do that.
Farts are disgusting.
Basically, what that means is, if you have this idea and you really like it, but you're being mean to players, you shouldn't be DMing. You should be writing a book.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can get bullied by the fucking publishers instead, so you can deal with someone else.
Yeah, like your book can be fucking really inspirational, but next thing you know, we don't have a John Lennon because you wrote the book.
You could think your
Next thing
book's
you
gonna-
know-
Wait, are you calling out Salinger?
Let's go, Salinger. I'm cable provider. Bring it on, all right? You got a catcher in the rye. You can catch these hands in the rye. Let's go.
Next thing you know, there's no JFK.
Yeah.
I like that library. It's near where I live. I'm doxing myself left and right in this fucking podcast.
You already established where you're from, Cable. Like,
Listen,
last
anybody
podcast.
can come find me. I'll tell you right now, you can beat me in a fight. I'll tell you this straight up.
I mean, listen, Cable. You have learned from the greatest. Let me pull up the GIF.
Whoa. Thomas J. Oliver.
Yeah.
Aw.
You know how to kick ass.
I'll fucking take you down like a Tengu motherfucker. I'll break your neck on the set of a Power Rangers movie.
Yeah.
I really won't. I'm weak and I'm frail and I'm fat.
At least you live in a big city, so even if people were able to dox where you live, they wouldn't know where the fuck.
This is true. Yeah, circling down to me because I'm running my fucking mouth anyway. One note I would give is a horror story, and it's kind of the reverse of don't bully your players. As a DM, you have to be accepting to your players and really be open to things, but don't be afraid to put your foot down. Because there are certain things that you just can't like fucking have it because it will ruin a campaign. And this is the most blatant thing I can think of because it ruined something and I had to make something up on the spot for it, but I wasn't happy about it and I really didn't like it. Where it's a player, like, I don't necessarily agree with the whole alignment chart because I think, characters will change over time. Nobody's set in stone.
Yeah.
Hold
But
on,
if
quick
you're gonna-
question.
Hmm?
Is this like a content warning bad story?
No, it's not a content warning bad story.
Okay.
Don't worry.
We
This
can
isn't
save
going down-
content warning bad stories for the next time.
I don't have any stories that fall down that route, or at least not many that fall down that route. But this is more of along lines of like, if a character is going to adhere to a certain morality when they give you or pitch you the idea of a character, characters will change over time, but a player's actions versus how they want a character to work, you have to be willing to give your players consequences if they're doing something that adamantly goes against the world that you set, or affects something in a very deep and meaningful manner, where it's like your story isn't like fucking the Bible where it's written down and needs to be adhered to. But you do, as a DM, you need to respect that if you put the time in to make a story, you have to be willing to accept the consequences, good or bad, for what your players do, and make sure your players are aware that their actions do have consequences in a world that's constantly moving.
Yeah.
A small thing is, I had a player who wanted to play what they called a lawful good or a neutral good character. Their actions were some of the worst things, because the dude was an extremely petty person who at the slightest instance of a thing would try to swindle shop owners out of money, get angry and decide he wanted to burn down a village, or fucking adamantly cheat people out of their reward money or doing stuff like that. And it's like, there's no way you're a good character. I will give you chaotic neutral at best.
Can I just I want to emphasize that is a weird phenomena of people who play D&D and choose specifically to be lawful good alignment, and then they continue on to be the biggest dicks in the campaign.
It's so fucking weird. Like, I don't get how that works. It's like when you make a character, at least with a certain I think it comes down to either not planning out a character's backstory enough or really committing to what you want to do. Like, for not to give so many spoilers for it, but for the most recent Bugs X Bones baddie,
Yep.
like, the one act of a character who probably deserved it, like killing, that fucked Tonbo up horribly.
Yeah.
Like, Tonbo is probably not gonna. I will not roleplay him the same moving forward with that one small action. Because I told you when I pitched him, he was around like lawful to neutral good. And that one action, like, basically destroyed how I would have to roleplay him moving forward.
Yep.
And it's. I understand, like, characters changing along the lines of certain things moving forward, but as a DM, if a character is not acting the way that they told you that they would, or at least like going along the lines of what they said you would, you can't be afraid to make a character suffer or make a character have to deal with consequences for something that they did because of what they're doing.
I think I know the way to phrase what you're talking about, Cable. So
Please.
Usually when people who want to play lawful good characters who don't hold up to that, it's usually another, and, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but usually it tends to be an issue of disassociation between roleplay and game, to where they are actively not wanting to roleplay, they're actively wanting to break the system that you have put in front of them. So they, they don't give a crap about the world you made, they don't give a crap about the characters. They just see something that they can, just another game that they can abuse.
Yeah.
The thing is, to go to your point, Batty, this person that I'm speaking of, that I won't name or anything like that, they were also a mid-maxer.
Yeah. That I was about to say that usually you see that trend on
That's a combo.
So that was a mid-maxer.
Cable. Can I actually mention that I have, like, 3 out of 5 stories that actually tie completely in with what you're saying.
Oh my god, like, you know, this one's already going on for almost 2.5 hours right now. But I'm more than happy to jump back into a second podcast with you and go over
more than happy to. I'll just tell you this: I will deem this the Asherok trilogy.
Asherok trilogy. I am excited to hear this shit. Okay. You know what? I will give you them. I will raise you the trilogy, and we'll go over that.
Okay.
The sad thing is, I don't like the character. That's where I get some of my favorite things. That's where comes from.
In addition, right after the Asherok trilogy, Cable, I have to tell you about Crab Harpy Orphanage. That's a good place to end on. Oh boy.
Okay. I guess say bye, everyone. Say
bye.
Say bye, Ninja Dan.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Dan.
Do a Boston accent. And I'll make a move.
Harvard Yard and Dan bagels.
Bye.
Water.